They say some houses are haunted, filled with ghosts that rattle chains and moan in the dead of night. But what about a house where evil was committed? What kind of darkness does it take to make a home feel haunted by its own shadow? In 1922, a family lived and worked on a remote farm in Bavaria, Germany. It was an isolated piece of land nestled between rolling hills and dense woods, perfect for a quiet life away from prying eyes. And the Gruber family, Andreas, his wife Cecilia, and their 6 children, took full advantage of the peace and quiet. Life on the farm was peaceful until it wasn't. One night, the family was awoken in their beds to what sounded like footsteps pacing back and forth in the attic above them. When Andreas went to investigate, he couldn't find anyone up there. He assumed it was just a stray animal and went back to bed. But the commotion started again the next night and the night after that. Still, Andreas couldn't find anything. And so the family carried on with their lives, though they were all jumpy and more than a little creeped out. Then something happened that made the normally tight-knit community of Kinkow look askance at the grubs. For days, they didn't hear any sounds from the farm. Not the cowbell when the cows were being milked or the rhythmic chug of the cream separator. Even the children's laughter seemed to fade. The neighbors became suspicious and began to investigate. When they finally got inside the farmhouse, what they found was so shocking that it made their blood run cold. The bodies of Andreas, Cecilia, and their children lay strewn about the house and the barn. The walls and floors were covered in a thick layer of dust, indicating that the family had been dead for several days. All 6 of them had been brutally murdered with a pickaxe, but only 5 bodies showed signs of a struggle. The youngest child, 2-year-old Joseph, appeared to have been killed while asleep. The post-mortem examination revealed that each family member had been struck multiple times, but there was no obvious motive for such violence. Robbery had been ruled out since nothing of value had been taken. The most perplexing detail, however, was that the killer had apparently stayed in the house for days after the murders. The livestock had been fed and the fireplace used, suggesting that the perpetrator had remained on the premises. This was confirmed when police found remnants of a fire in the massive stone hearth and the empty food trough by the stable door. Whoever had done this had lingered, perhaps even washing his or her hands in the very same sink where the children washed their hands before dinner. Rumors spread like wildfire through the small town, reaching fever pitch when a local woman swore she saw the ghost of one of the Gruber children wandering the fields near the farm. Soon, the entire community was convinced that the culprit was a grifter who had come to the farm with evil intent. Yet no matter how many farms, villages, and towns they searched, the police could not find a single trace of him. And so the case grew cold. Years passed and people began to forget about the horror at Hinterkaifeck, as the farm was known locally. But to this day, nobody knows what truly happened there. Local residents still report hearing the sound of footsteps at night, and some swear they've seen a shadowy figure standing amidst the crumbling ruins of the farmhouse, forever trapped in the shadow of the crime. There are many theories surrounding the crime, but no solid evidence or confirmed suspects. Was it a madman who stumbled upon the farm and took his frustrations out on the unsuspecting family? Could it be the work of a deranged family member? Or was there a more sinister force at play? Unfortunately, we may never know. What do you think happened at Hinterkaifeck? Let me know your thoughts. And if you like stories like these, then stay tuned for more creepy mysteries. See you next time.